All right, welcome back, Game Changing Podcast. Very special guest today. We got Chandler Fischer, SEC golfer, former SEC golfer, D1 athlete. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Hayden, thanks for having me. Appreciate you. Looking forward to today.
All right, so let's just start out simple. A lot of athletes that are at a high level, especially kid athletes, because they have to balance school. They have trouble balancing school, golf, as well as, there's certain times you just want to be a kid, right? Um, so during high school, college, was there anything that you did that really helped you or balance?
So you got to start with a plan. That's key. And your grades must come first. Once you've completed your schoolwork, then you can focus your time and energy towards getting better. And that can be in golf, that can be working out, that can be in your relationships, that can be with your family. But having a plan is key, because if you don't have a plan and work towards that goal, that end goal every day of your dreams of being a professional golfer one day, then you can't really achieve it that way. So, one, having a plan, realizing that, you have that special talent and that you want to achieve greatness one day. So starting with a plan is key.
Were there, how am I gonna say this? Were there certain sacrifices that you just knew you were gonna have to make?
Absolutely. Once you see that early success and that you're playing well and doing the right things and putting in the time, there are some things that you have to give up, and that can be, some hanging out with some friends on a Friday night, or going, doing some of the friends on a Saturday, going to the pool, things like that.
Right.
That you have to focus your energy and time into getting better. And you may have to go to a lesson, you may have to go to a tournament, you'll be out of town for weeks at a time in the summer, when everyone else is at the pool doing other things. And, you have to focus those efforts to, your travel, you're with your family a lot, and,
Right.
really look at that end goal and think that, is this what I want to do for a lifetime?
Right. Right. So let's just start kind of in the beginning. So high school, you're a freshman, you're a sophomore. Was the goal, had the goal for a long time been to play college golf, or was that goal, were you later? And like, when did that goal really become like your mindset?
So, I started at later age in life. I started at 12 years old, not like most. A lot of really good golfers start at a very young age. Basically, when they start walking, they have a club in their hand.
Right. Right.
Um, I had I was thankfully blessed to have early successes, right when I started. Picked it up when I was 14 years old. Won some key tournaments and realized that, I could make something of this. So, seeing those early successes help, make my mind up that this is what I want to do, and this is a career that I want to pursue.
I got you. Okay. And then just kind of moving on, being, a high level athlete in high school, I think can take a different toll because on a lot of kids, because, you're not as mature as maybe you are in college. You're not an adult yet. Your body's changing, your mind's changing, you're going through puberty still, certain things like that. So was there anything specifically, you talked about having a plan earlier, but was there anything else that you did to just not totally lose it? Like certain days off, certain schedules, making sure to socialize every now and then, stuff like that.
Yeah, you have to find that balance, and it can be different for each individual. Um, for me, it was, using that time after school, putting in that work from, call it 3:30 to 5:30 or 6, and then, going home with my family and eating dinner, and kind of turning that golf mode off for a bit to feel
Right.
normal, if you will. Having those conversations about life, what's going on in school. Uh, my parents definitely, kind of drilled it in me that grades do come first, and that paid off in the long run. As I'm not doing this for a living, golf, that is.
Right.
So, um, you can always fall back on school. But golf is a special game that, you can play for a lifetime, that even if it doesn't work out, that it is still um, a lifetime sport. But back to your question, yeah, you have to find that balance. Everyone's different. And, it's key to find your own balance. That is, if you have to work out in the morning, and then practice and then see your family and friends in the evening, then you can make it work and, have that normal lifestyle.
Yeah, I feel like time management is just key.
It absolutely is.
I mean, and like for me, even like making sure every minute at school, I'm doing what I can do on that end of things, like study halls, utilizing study halls so I can go practice, stuff like that, I think is key as well.
Yeah,
Um,
you hit that right on the head there. Using your time, your downtime, where today technology, social media is so big, not get distracted with cell phone and the computer in front of your face all the time. Use that time, like you said, time management, get the schoolwork done, get your studies finished. And then you can, focus your efforts on becoming 1% better every day in golf and in life.
right. So you won a state championship in high school, correct?
Too.
Two, sorry, two. So what was that like? Was that more than you expected? Was that what you, because when you're playing high school golf and high school athletics, everybody wants that state championship. And some people say, it didn't live up to the hype. Some say it was the greatest moment of my life. What was that like for you?
In the moment, it felt amazing. You walked around school with your, head high and your chest out, proud about it. Fast forward, 10 years that I've been out of school, I don't even know where my rings are. But it's a very special moment, and you take pride in that. It feels great to have the school support that you've accomplished something that is big for your high school, and you'll always remember that. So I do cherish those moments, and with those teammates, those emotions, good and bad. So it's just a team effort, and really, wish I could go back and relive some of those moments.
Right, right. Yeah, I don't know if at Sarah I'm ever gonna get a ring, but maybe individually, maybe individually. So, um, let's fast forward a few years. You're coming up. You won an AJGA Open which summer? Junior to senior? Was it senior?
Sophomore to junior.
Sophomore to junior. Okay, okay. So
Yep.
sophomore to junior. And back then, recruiting rules were pretty much wide open, unlike they are now.
Yeah, that's
So
correct.
when did recruiting really start? Was it before you won that AJGA, or was it just right after? Was it kind of,
So I had a little bit of exposure before that AJGA. That summer was my biggest summer by far in terms of traveling.
okay,
My father and I, we traveled a lot. We were gone, almost every week, um, going to tournaments, going to different places around the country to try to get that as much exposure as I could.
right.
Once I won that tournament, I had roughly 35 to 40 coaches following me around that day, that final day. And that was a special feeling.
I bet. I bet.
The tensions, the nerves were high, but I prevailed. And just that goes back to having that plan, putting in all that practice, those time, that energy. That was key, and I relied on those moments. Relied on all that practice to get me through that tough time on that final day. But after that, the kind of the floodgates opened, if you will, in terms of the letters, the emails, calls, text from coaches. I was fortunate enough to receive 40 offers, D1 offers, and that was special. And that was into the fall of my junior year, when the September 1st, when that
Right. Yeah.
opening deadline was available for them to reach out and contact me directly.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't realize you had 40. I didn't remember that.
I
Um,
did.
so I guess you really never had to worry about it. Like with COVID now, like I'm in touch with a lot of seniors and a lot of juniors and stuff. And I guess some of them, they just want to play golf, and they said, I don't really care if I go D1 or D2, or like my cousin plays D3 at center. Like he just wanted to play golf. I guess since you never really had to worry about it, but say you did, or say sophomore year before the floodgates opened, before you won the Open, if someone had asked you, would you play D2, what would you have said?
Absolutely. Before I won the biggest tournament of my career, I was just looking to play golf collegiately at any level. Um, that was my goal at the time. But once I had the successes that summer and won some of these big tournaments and finished well and in other events, my sights were set on SEC golf and SEC golf only. Uh, just because the SEC is closer to home. I've been born and raised here in Lexington,
Right.
and that was key for me. But to start that process, I was just looking for a place to play, somewhere to fit in, somewhere that I could grow in my golf game and grow academically.
Okay. Yeah. So Ole Miss, were they first off, were they one of the 35 there watching you that
They
final?
were. They
And
were. He
then
walked with my coach. Walked with my mother the entire final round. It was in Nashville, Tennessee. It was so hot, and he helped her out. She was struggling.
she was struggling. um, so was it Ole Miss? You said SEC, so you had your sights set. You had it narrowed down to SEC when you started playing well, when you started winning big stuff. Was was Ole Miss at the top at the beginning in the whole way, or was something else up there?
Auburn was the number one choice. It went Auburn, Ole Miss, UK. That was UK being the final choice just because I wanted to get away from home. I contribute, my growth as a young man by getting away from home and learning to do things on my own.
Right.
Fortunate enough that my mom and my father helped me out a lot as in high school and did a lot of things for me. But you really start to grow and find out who the real Chandler is inside when mom's not there, cook you dinner, do your laundry, etc.
Right. Um, so what so we fast forward. When did you commit?
I committed the December of my junior year. So I was available to get offers um, in September, and I committed in December.
Okay. Did you go to Ole Miss? Did you go visit?
I
Obviously.
visited. I visited several. Visit Ole Miss, Auburn, UK, Coastal Carolina, Wisconsin, um, Vandy, Tennessee. So we had a good sample size of seeing what I did and did not like. And Ole Miss just was the perfect fit. 7 hours away, within a day's drive. The weather was good. That was key for my decision.
Right.
Here in Kentucky, as you know, it's the winters can be hit or miss, and it's not as bad in Mississippi, and you get to play golf a lot longer, throughout the year.
Correct. All right. So now you get to college, right? Your your first fall there. What was the initial reaction after the first practice?
Oh man,
Oh man.
it was it was shocking. Unfortunately, the coach in front of the parents and my grandparents, when we went on these visits, went on multiple visits, especially after I committed, just wanted to go down there as much as possible.
Right.
He was telling my family exactly what they wanted to hear. But when the parents were away in that first practice, uh, he had a totally different tune. He spoke in a totally different way that was degrading, discouraging, and criticizing, not constructively.
Right.
And it was so. To answer your question, when you're there on that first practice, and I'm an 18-year-old kid, and there's a
Excited.
22 or 23-year-old graduate fifth year, they're talking about completely different things. Their mannerisms are different. It's pretty eye-opening. So you kind of got to, I kind of went towards the other freshmen on the team, fortunate enough to have 4 others, including,
Wow.
yeah, not including myself. So we had 5 freshmen.
That's a
Uh,
big class.
yeah, it's huge.
Huge class.
So we flocked together in that regard because, these are, we considered grown men.
Right.
And, they just, the way they talked, they walked, everything was completely different than what we were used to.
So, all right, just walk me through a day, just a day in the life of an SEC Ole Miss golfer.
Are you ready?
All right, I'm ready. I'm
So,
ready.
Monday morning, this is what it looked like.
Okay.
You wake up at 5 a.m. and you're staying in the dorm.
Right.
You go, with your team, with other freshmen, they're staying in the dorm. All the other players that were not freshmen, sophomore and above, lived off campus. We walked to the workout facility. You work out from 5:30 to 7:30.
Okay.
And it's optional, but really you didn't have time to shower and change. So you wore your workout stuff to class. You had class from 8 to 12, a couple classes in there.
Right.
Class 8 to 12, you walk back to your dorm where we had a cafeteria. It wasn't a all athletic dorm because they can't do that, but it was a very nice dorm that 90% athletes. Ate lunch at the cafeteria, walked back upstairs, and changed for practice. Got in your car. You had to be at practice by 1 o'clock. Practice from 1 to 5. And that could be various things. We could just be doing short game. You could be doing, iron play, putting, or you could play 18 holes. You'd have to walk 18 holes, during that time. You couldn't get done till 6 o'clock sometimes. As a freshman, you had mandatory study hall hours and tutoring sessions. So once you finished golf at 5:30, you drove back to your dorm, showered, cleaned up, went downstairs, ate dinner, and then walked to the student center, the student athlete center. And either you had mandatory study hall hours that you had to clock, or you had tutoring sessions that were required. That those lasted roughly from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then once you were finished, you walk back to your dorm and you're exhausted.
Right.
And then you wake up and do it again. But the workout, it was 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So
year round,
Monday
in the off season.
So year round.
Year round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Year
I know
round.
a lot. There's programs nowadays just talking to people. They work out 3 or 4 times a week, off season just once or twice.
Okay.
Season. So
yeah, Ole Miss just did it a little differently. I'm sure they all do it their own way, but yeah, that was a big change for me, because that Monday night, you're getting in at 10 o'clock ish. You could, sleep in that next day if you call sleeping until 7:15 sleeping in. But it's hard to wind down after that. It's really hard to shut it off because then you may have some you have that social life that you're trying to uphold. You're trying to figure out what this college balance is really like, because mom's not there to tuck you in and give you what you need and make you the dinner, and so it's definitely a big change.
So with that being said, you can only do so many things good at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Was there one thing that really fell off that you maybe wish you had done differently in high school to prepare you better? Like, there's some people that are just naturally smart and they kind of skate through high school and then they get to college and wow, I have to study and try to play my sport, stuff like that. Was there something that really fell off, whether it was social life, whether it was academics, whether it was golf, whether it was relationship with your parents? Was there anything that fell off farther and was much harder to balance than you expected?
The social life aspect, as going through high school, I was thankfully a well-liked person. I had a lot of friends, and that can be of all types of people in high school, the ones that played sports, that didn't, girls, just kind of everyone. And when I went to college, you're basically hanging around the same guys on the golf team 24/7.
Yeah.
So that was different. I was around the same people all the time. And that's definitely a big change. And especially going away, you may not know these guys, for that first month. You don't really know this person that you're rooming with, another
Right.
freshman.
Right.
So you're getting to learn someone else, how they live. Living with someone, an 18-year-old, another 18-year-old is completely different than, you coming back home to mom and you're just going up to your room and, turning TV on, shutting down. Um, they may have people over, they may be studying late. But I credit a lot, you brought up, the schoolwork. I That balance, I credit a lot to my organizational skills, growing up, that my parents kind of drilled into my head that you have to be organized.
Right.
Um, you have to use your organizational skills, create a plan of how you're going to complete that schoolwork, and also, get your rest, eat properly, work on your game. It's a lot to balance, but I have full confidence you'll be able to do it.
Um, so let's talk preparation wise for a tournament, or just making you a better golfer. So in high school, I feel like a lot of kids, probably including myself, are like limited to what we do.
Mhm.
I stretch before I go to bed, I work out. But in college, is there something drastically different? Like maybe it's the way you look at courses, the way you manage, you strategize courses, the way you eat right before a tournament. Was there something that just shocked you, like, wow, why haven't I been doing this, my whole life?
That's a great point you bring up. Definitely, when you're in college, and I recall this my first day being down there. Uh, they look at courses completely different than you and I would, at your age.
That's right.
We're kind of in a go-getter atmosphere. Their go-getter mindset that, I'm going to go for everything in two, or I'm going to, take on those risks. These players, what separates them from, the good college players, from a decent college player, and then a good pro player to a great pro player, the one that can actually play on tour and not just survive on the mini tours. They play to their strengths, and it can take some time to learn what those strengths are. They accept their bad shots, don't let their temper get the best of them, and that's something, as a young adult, that you have to learn quickly. You can't let your emotions control the outcome of the next shot, or the next hole, or the next 9 holes.
Right.
When they say it's literally shot by shot, that's how they view that. They don't get ahead of themselves and look, oh, well, I made a bogey on 2, but I know number 5 is an easy hole, so I can be able to birdie 5. They're not thinking about that whatsoever. They hit it in trouble. They find a way to get it back out and play to their strengths. If 100 yards is their favorite number, then that's what the number that they're playing for.
Right.
I also learned, something that I still carry with me today. It's called a 9-1-1 shot. When things aren't going your way and your swing is not, on par that day, they find that 9-1-1 shot, if you will, and they get the ball in play instead of, struggling with your swing, fighting the swing change on the course. Those are things that you can work on after the round. But being able to play and still make par, even if it's not your best day, is key to salvaging those rounds and not turning a 74 to an 80.
Okay. Um, this may be like a little past your time. I know they do it now at some places. Did they have a like a mental coach, sports psychologist that you were required to see, or did you see one on your own? Or because I know some
So,
places now have them and then you're required to meet with them. I
mhm.
don't know what it was like for you though.
Ole Miss, they had, people that came in and spoke to us, about that mental coach and that mental game, which was good, and it was decent. I'll give it a decent rating in a group setting, because it may not relate to you. Now, they did
Right.
have, which is, obviously free, available to anyone at any time. sports psychiatrist on campus that, it was optional for you to see, but I did see, because and it can be different for all. When you're 7 hours away, and talking with my parents, I think that you're similar in this regard. You talk to your dad of what went wrong that day, what went well, and kind of just recap the round.
Yeah.
That's, you can do that, and I did that on the phone. But having someone there in person, you're looking at, you're talking about what went wrong. What were the thoughts that you had? Did you let your temper get the best of you? Why didn't you make a better decision when you hit it in trouble? Why were you trying to go for it when had a good round going, and you tried to, squeeze it, into a tight, narrow gap that wasn't really a smart play. So using those sports psychiatrists, using all of your resources that the university is going to provide you with is key. And that's in all aspects, eating the right food, working out, using the gym when no one really else is. And, you'll want to sit down and relax, but the better players, what separates the good from the great, they're in the gym on a Sunday. They're getting a little work in. That's a big turning point from the guys that are playing on TV to the guys that are watching it.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of more on the mental side of things. You're one of the top, you're going to an SEC school. You're one of the premier players in the country, especially coming out of your class. Was there ever a time when you sat back, maybe you're laying in bed one night and it just kind of hits you and you're like, whoa, like I'm this good. Like it almost like shocks you sometimes. Like you have a big win. You're like, I just did that. It's like a motivation, but it's also like I'm better than a lot of people expected me to be. I've proved some of the haters wrong, stuff like that. Was there ever a time where you were just sat back and you're like, wow, I'm one of the best kids in the country, and just really like soak that in for a second?
There was. There was a time that I got invited to. It was the Polo Invitational. I was sitting there hitting balls next to Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Daniel Berger, Xander Schauffele,
Jeez.
and realizing like, wow, I thought I was somebody, but obviously I wasn't. I'm not playing out there. But what's key is staying humble, treat others with respect, and be thankful for your God-given talent. Those are things that will not only take you to the next level, but will help you excel in life. If you stay humble, you treat others with respect, and be thankful, that those are things that you can carry on for a lifetime in whatever you do.
That kind of leads me in perfectly. That was perfect into my next. Your best advice to young athletes, kind of in where you were in high school, or even freshmen in college.
Best advice would be, kind of touching on what I just said. Not only using, using your talent to do the right thing, but stay humble. And like I said, treat others with respect, and be thankful, and, realize that you can realize that you have a special talent, but don't let that be everything. Some people at a young age, ride and die on the fact that pro golf is going to be for them, and that's not for everyone. The success rate is very small, and my parents thankfully made me put academics first, and I can't thank them enough for that. Now I've been fortunate enough to be successful in my young adult career. So you always have the academics to fall back on. Golf is a lifelong sport. Being healthy, you can play for a lifetime. And it's opened doors that I never thought were possible in business, friendships, and people that I never thought I would meet, but I've been able to do so by being on a golf course.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So you look back now, you're not on the tour, you didn't play all 4 years of college. It was still all worth it though, right?
Absolutely. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Wouldn't trade it for the world. I guess last question here, just reflecting, was there anything you wish you had done differently, or do you just have no regrets? That was my life. That was how I lived it. I'm happy with where I'm at now.
I wish I would have, just to recap, I stopped playing golf after my first year. The coach really just he burnt me out. I mean, I completely just I lost the love for the game. I wish I would have refocused my efforts on playing at a lesser D1, or D2, or D3, but I was stuck on this, for whatever reason, this mentality that I was better than that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I didn't follow what I said by staying humble and treating others with respect. I thought that I was better than some of the guys that I used to beat in college, beat in high school, that were now at these schools, the Centers and Transylvanias and things like that. No disrespect to those schools at all. Great players do come out of there. But yeah, that would be definitely a regret. Looking back, I would change that. I would change that. But also, I'm thankful for who I am today and what I've learned from that, and it's made me who I am.
All right. That's some good stuff.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it more than you know. Yeah, I think that'll wrap us up here. Hold on. This is a great episode for everyone listening. Thanks for showing out, and be ready next week. We've got some baseball insight. See Fish, baby. Ole Miss golfer. What an episode.